All right. Section 8.5 of chapter 8. I asked you 3 questions. Number 1 was, what is area? What's the definition? What does it mean? Let's start with this. What does perimeter mean? If I'm talking about this triangle here, how do I find the perimeter of this? Adding up all the sides. Yep, perimeter is the distance around the shape. What's area? It's the inside, right? Area is what the shape covers. Okay, it's how much space it covers up. So usually when you're talking about a house, you hear a lot of 1,200 square foot. Okay, whenever it talks about square foot of something, it's talking about how much area that's covering. Okay, so area is space that's being covered. I'm going to say being used or covered. Okay. Number 2, that question was, how do you find the area of a square? So that's kind of a square, rectangle. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Right, you multiply your base and your height. So area equals base times height. That's how you find the area of a square. Okay. And then last one, I asked you, what is the area of a triangle? Or how do you find the area of a triangle? Ideas. It is very similar to this with a twist.
Length times width times height.
You're thinking volume. I'm going to have you look at this picture here. How can I make a triangle out of that? Yes, we can cut this in half to make a triangle. So that's exactly what we do with the area. We do 1/2 of the base times height. Okay. Or a lot of you probably are used to base times height divided by 2. Okay. So that is how you find the area of a triangle. We are going to focus mostly on this number 3 here today. Okay. Go ahead and draw this diagram for me. I'm only going to have you draw about 3 today. Except instead of G, put 3. Instead of F, put 4. Okay. What do you notice about this triangle here? Can I find the area of this? So right now, we know that to find the area of a triangle, we do 1/2 base times height. Do I know what the base is? Are you saying that because it's on the bottom? That's a good way to think about it.
No, it would be the long side.
It's wherever the height is. Do we know what the height is? All of these answers are good answers, okay? But in this case, we do not know what the height is, okay? And I'll tell you why. If I draw a regular triangle over here, okay? I'm going to say this side's 4 and this side's 3. Okay, what's this line right here that I'm drawing? Remember what that's called? It comes from a vertex to the opposite side, creating a right angle. Starts with the A. Altitude. Yep, write this down. Altitude is the same thing as the height. So if I ask you to find the altitude, I'm asking you to find the height and vice versa. Okay, so in this diagram that we have over here, let me pause. So the altitude here, that is our height. Okay, this is our height. The base is wherever that altitude connects to. Okay, so this altitude right here connects to 4. So 4 in this case would be our base. Okay, so looking at this diagram here, our main one, do I have an altitude? Meaning, do I have a right angle shown anywhere? No, I don't have any altitude. If I did, it would be in here like this. Okay, but in this case, do we have the altitude? No, we don't have the height or the altitude. So can I use this if I don't know what h is? No, unfortunately no. And if I don't know what the altitude is, do I know what the base is? No. Okay, we have to have the altitude to know both of those things. So we can use trig to help us solve this. Okay, so I'm going to give you one more formula for this chapter. Okay, so write this down. It's A meaning area. A equals 1/2 BC sine of A. Now, you've seen all these letters before in the law of sines and law of cosines formulas. Okay, so let's rehash what some of this means. I'm going to start here. What does this stand for? It's an angle, right? Because it's with the trig. So this is the angle that we're focusing on. What is the B and C? It's the other two sides. Yep, so here's my angle. That angle is usually connected to whatever side this is. That B and C is the other two sides. Okay, so they mean the same thing that they meant in the other formulas that we've had. Okay, so if I want to find the area, but I don't know the altitude, okay, I can use this formula here. Okay, so let's plug some things in based off of this diagram. We have A equals 1/2. My other two sides are 3 and 4. And then sine of my angle is, what's the angle in our diagram? 116. Yep. What is very nice and what you're going to like about this, okay? I can just type this directly in my calculator. Calculations are super easy on this one. Okay, from here, left to right, type that in your calculator the same exact way you see it. Okay, so you're going to take 1/2, or you can do 0.5, times 3, times 4, times sine of 116. Okay, for your area, let's stick to the 10th. You should get 5.4 if you type that in your calculator. Using that formula without the altitude, we found the area. Okay, now can we find the altitude now that we know what the area is? Ideas. Since we know what the area is, can we find the altitude?
Yes.
Why do you say yes?
I don't know. Just guessing.
I'm going to make this side 7. If I know the area, how can I find the length or the height of that triangle? What did you say? Okay. You could use trig. You could use Pythagorean theorem. Okay. However, could I use this?
Yes.
Why?
Because you have your height and then you have your base.
Right. I know the base. I know the area. And I'm looking for the height. Okay. So if I'm looking for this, let's use that formula. So let's plug in what we know. What's A? What did we say the area was? 5.4. Yep, so let's plug in 5.4 equals 1/2 is 1/2. This B, what's that stand for in this formula? Base. What's the base? How do I know it's 7 and not 4? It's connected to that right angle. Yep, good. And then I'm looking for the height. This just turned into an algebra problem. What do I do with these two numbers right here? Multiply, yep, or you can think 7 divided by 2, that gives us 3.5. What's my last step here? Divide by 3.5. Take 5.4 divided by 3.5, what do you get for the height?
1.5.
Height is 1.5. So, you can use trig to help you out to find the area, but then once you have the area, you can go back to that original formula from way back when and find the height. Okay? Let's talk about it. So, remember with law of sines and law of cosines, I had you circle what you're looking for and circle the angle per se. Okay, here, I still want you to do that. Circle that angle that we're basing this whole equation off of. Okay, you know that angle is going to go in for sine of A, right? Okay, so what am I going to use for B and C? What am I going to use for B and C? 9 and 15. Yep, you're going to use the sides that surround that angle. Okay, they're the sides that aren't in relation to that angle. Okay, so plug in what you know. 1/2, we said B and C is 9 and 15. And then sine of my angle, which is 51. What do we do once we get to this point here? Type it in your calculator. Yep, if you type this in, you got 0.5 times 9 times 15 times sine of 51. Anyone want to share?
52.5.
52.5, yep. Should get 52.5. How your calculators might be giving you the wrong answer. Some of them, you need to put a multiplication sign in between there. Not all calculators make you do that, but I know some want you to put a multiplication sign in between there. Okay. We have the area. Now I want you to go try and find the height. Okay. Now to find the height, remember you're going to go back to that original equation, which was a equals 1/2 base times height. Again, the reason I'm using this equation is so that I have the height. Now that you have the altitude, that just made it a whole lot easier. Okay. So we're going to plug in what we know to this original equation. Do I know what A is?
Yeah.
That's what we found from before, right? It's that 52.5. 1/2 is 1/2. Don't try and change that. What's this B stand for? The base. How do I know where the base is?
It's 15, but it's connected to the right angle.
Connected to the right angle. Yep. So 15. And then I'm looking for the height. What do I do first here? Yep. Take 15 divided by 2. Yep. Which gives you 7.5. Last step here. Divide by 7.5. You get H equals 7 even.
Yep.
So this last example, go ahead, find the area, and then find the altitude. And there I have the altitude labeled for you. To find the area, can I use the original A equals 1/2 base times height? Can I use that? Why not? Right, I don't know the area and I don't know the altitude. So I know I have to use trig to help me find the area. So we need to use trig. We're going to use this formula, 1/2 BC sine of A. So what's my angle that we're basing this off of? 122, okay, and it's opposite of 21. What is my B and C that I'm going to use?
I used 14.
You do use 14 and 10. You're going to use the two angles that are not in relation, or sorry, the two sides that are not in relation to the angle, okay? So if I write this out, we have 1/2 times 14 times 10, sine of 122. What do I do once I get to this point?
Put it in the gap.
Type it in. What'd you get when you type that in?
I got 59.4.
59.4?
That's what I got.
Everyone agree? Okay, so that's step one. We found the area. Now that we found the area, can we use that to help us find the height? Where do we go back to?
The 1/2 BH.
The original one, yep. 1/2 base times height. Because again, I'm using this formula because it has the height in it. I'm going to look for that. Okay, so plug in what we know. Do I know what A is? That's what we just found. So we have 59.4 equals 1/2. What is the base? Again, it's the one that is connected to that right angle. So base is 21, and then we're looking for height. What do I do first here?
Divide 21 by 2.
Yep, what you get?
11. I get 10.5.
Yeah, I got 10.5.
10.5.
Oh, that's what I got 22. That's why I did it wrong.
And then what's the last step here? Divide by 10.5. H equals
5.7.
5.7.